Nice and early in the season, the Merseyside Derby is the midday game, close to that at least, on Saturday at Everton at Goodison Park. This is very interesting because I think the sort of woe factor has been high up on... Do you expect me to say that? The woe factor has been high on the Everton side for quite a while, especially going into these games. It feels like they've always been in horrible form, and there's the Merseyside Derby. I wouldn't say it's full woe on Liverpool because actually they've won the last two games and they've scored that last minute winner. But it doesn't all feel rosy at Liverpool. I've never heard fans from Liverpool complain like they have been recently about the midfield, about the transfer activity, about how they should have made moves quicker. How do you feel about Liverpool, and then how do you feel about this game coming up now?
I don't know where my woe meter is. Did not expect you to say that. How do I feel? I think Liverpool, considering the issues they have had in midfield and considering they believe they're getting Bellingham next summer, I think they're still lost in the part of... Stop it, you retired his shirt.
Do you think Dortmund will retire his shirt?
It's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
I didn't do it. I said let's do it, but I didn't think they would.
Yeah, but you're a part of it.
I think Liverpool believe they're going to sign him next summer. But the problem is Liverpool will need 2 or 3 midfielders because Henderson cannot complete 90 at the moment. Fabinho's overplayed. Harvey Elliott looks a superb player, but he's going to burn out. Then you're relying on Carvalho. Curtis Jones is never fit. So Liverpool have a real problem there because at the back they're absolutely fine, but the problem that you have is if you've got a decent back line and a decent front line, nothing in the middle, like you saw against United, suddenly you can't play in transition anymore because the ball isn't going from B to C. It's literally just going A to C, and that just does not work. And I think against Everton will just make it a horrible game. They're going to work really hard, like every team that's played Liverpool so far this season has. And with Trent a little bit out of form, who's Liverpool's go-to, when Liverpool are struggling for creativity, they just give it to him and just pick any pass you want. And then Robertson's a little bit out of form. Tsimikas is coming on quite often for him. The big encouraging thing is Darwin Núñez. Personally, I'll throw him straight back in.
Yeah.
I know Firmino looks good, but he's still in possession. He's not been great. His pressing numbers aren't as good as they have been. I think you chuck in Núñez and go, deal with that. Because Liverpool need the win. That is the long and short of it. You drop any more points, then the title's pretty much done. Everton on the flip side, Andy Gordon's staying, and you just said off camera that you're not feeling very confident for him.
That was off camera. No, I don't feel very confident for him.
High woe factor on that one.
Yeah, big time. No, I think like Liverpool, the way that they played against Bournemouth, there are flashes of there. Just back on Liverpool, I feel number one priority with City was striker. Number one priority we all thought for Liverpool was midfielder. And I think if you go out and get Bellingham this year, you get him slightly cheaper than you do next season. I don't want him to come to England though. That's just my personal preference.
I think he'd cost. You think he would have cost more now?
No, I think next season.
You think it costs more then?
Yeah, just because I think the price goes up. We get a sweet 20% deal as a Birmingham City fan. Get that in there. But I just find it surprising with their transfer activities to spend 100 million on Darwin Núñez when you could have got Bellingham for that money, and then that's not the number one priority.
The thing is, my feeling is, if I look at City go, we need X player, let's get him now. Liverpool are going, we need X player, let's wait till next season, lose this season. City go win another league title. City will then improve again next year. Liverpool go and get Bellingham. Then what, in case you need a centre-back, you're going to wait till the 12 months after? I think it gets to a point where you have to go, we need Bellingham, we need him now, buy him now, because you clearly have the money because you're going to spend it in 12 months anyway.
And it's, this is a Liverpool side that's been in Champions League finals. It's one that's won the league. It's been at the top of the league, and there's money that comes with all that, time and again. And so there has to be some money there. And if you're going to take a risk with a manager, pick one. It's probably Jurgen Klopp, and it's not even a risk, is it, with someone like Jude Bellingham? So you're right. When people talk about a centre midfielder or a striker, they could have gone and got both, and I don't think anyone would have said anything about it. Maybe the Salah contract, and actually it's harder to be sensible than it looks sometimes, especially when there is so much money in the Premier League, and that's what Liverpool are trying to do, so that is commendable. Back to the game, I agree with you in terms of Núñez. I think you put him straight in. Here's why: because Everton against Leeds, you look at the stats and look at where the players are. It looks like it was all Leeds, and it kind of was. And Leeds aren't the same as Liverpool, but they're very high intensity. And so that's something that gets Everton ready for this game. But also, they played with the back four. which was interesting. We're just going to see if they do the same. Change that just because Bournemouth went to a back four, and we all know what happened there from a back five. But with Cody and Tarkowski and the midfielders that they've got in front of them, Idrissa Gueye could be playing, Anana certainly should be playing in this game. You could defend quite deep, and generally when you're a defender, if the ball's in front of you, life's great. They haven't scored yet, and when Firmino plays, I know he's scored goals and I know he's a great player. But there doesn't seem to be that same dynamism over both sides in terms of Salah and Mane. And they're just not as stretched. And so Darwin Núñez, you put him in the middle of that, it will stretch the play, it will create space for others, in my opinion. So I would put him straight in. I would expect him to play straight away. But I do think the big thing with that Leeds game as well is that although they didn't have the ball, they did create 3 big chances and probably should have come out with the win, not down to dominance, but down to 2 creating chances. You've got Anthony Gordon getting on the ball in a bit more of a central position. He really looks up for it at this moment in time. He's had 12 shots on target from his opening 5 matches, scored in his last 2 games. You've got Damari Gray, who I like as a player. You've got a few willing runners there as well. So if you're able to target that right-hand side like Crystal Palace have done, like Man United have done as well, there could be something in there for Everton. And I'll be honest, I've got a gut feeling that Everton will come out with at least a draw in this game.
Well, we actually saw last year, Everton did play exactly like that. They sat deep and said, you can't play through us. And Anthony Gordon just stood on the halfway line. And they were just sort of clipping balls around the corner, Sunday League style.
But there were moments, wasn't there?
Yeah. And Anthony Gordon probably should have had a penalty. And I think he scored. Or I think they had a really good chat. I can't remember
penalty
exactly.
Shout, wasn't it? And he got done for diving. And then Divock arrived.
It was definitely a penalty. I'm saying that. It was 100% penalty. And Liverpool got away with it.
You can say
but
that
they'll do that over and over again. And I think, as you said, Palace have shown what you can do. The big thing when you play against Liverpool or City is if you've got that pace, they just need to be on song that day. And if they're not, then it doesn't really matter because then you just did what every other team did. And Anthony Gordon is on song. I don't feel very confident for Liverpool. I think they're scrapping, they're like dragging their feet over the line. It's not attractive. And I think there was a time you'd watch these games and go, they've got a title mentality. Now it's like they're really desperate. Like
it feels hesitant, it feels undercooked. The squad feels undercooked.
There's a lot of like, give it to Trent, just cross it to someone. Or give it to Firmino, just take 6 players on. And it's kind of like, that's not going to work for a very long time. So I personally think it's going to go 1-1.
Wow. I'm not going Bournemouth levels because I wouldn't want to put that on any woe on anyone like that. But I think it'll be in the 3s and 4s. I think, like you said, Núñez coming back into the team, causing a lot of problems for Cody and Tarkowski. And then if he's causing problems, that just brings in the wide men even more. And even like we saw Carvalho coming off the bench, they've got options. Everton haven't kept a clean sheet in the league this season. I think 3-0 Liverpool.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.